The Pentateuch. The Pentateuch, literally the five scrolls, comprises the so-called 5 books of Moses, known in Jewish tradition as the Law of Torah. These books elaborate basic themes of Israel's tradition, the revelation to the patriarchs against the background of primeval history, Genesis, the Exodus from Egypt, Exodus chapters 1 through 18, the giving of the law in connection with the Sinai covenant, Exodus chapters 19 through 40, and Leviticus, and the Lord's guidance of his people through the wilderness, through the promised land, Numbers. The last book, Deuteronomy, which gives Moses' final address to Israel, represents a pause in the flow of the narratives towards the realization of the promise, Joshua. The Pentateuch embraces a great diversity of material which reflects Israel's pilgrimage from the time of Abraham to the exile. The whole tradition, however, has been shaped by basic themes found essentially in the confession of faith preserved in Deuteronomy 26, 5 through 10. Compare Joshua chapter 24. The Pentateuch may be regarded as an elaboration of this creedal statement, according to the interests and insights of various circles of tradition. In the early monarchy, perhaps about 950 BC, a traditionist from Judah first organized the traditions into a written epic. Sometime later, between about 900 to 750 BC, a traditionist from North Israel, or Ephraim, presented another version of the sacred story. In the 7th century BC, Deuteronomy was published, 2 Kings chapters 22 through 23, although this version rests upon old traditions. And finally, about the time of the exile, priestly writers rounded out the expanded tradition with materials preserved by the Jerusalem priesthood. Thus, the Pentateuch took shape over a long period of time. It preserves not only the tones which reverberated in the Mosaic period, but the overtones of meaning perceived by subsequent generations. In tribute to the creative influence of Moses, the whole tradition in its manifold richness was ascribed to the leader to whom Israel believed God had spoken as to no other man. Genesis. Genesis, meaning beginning, covers the times from the creation, an example, the beginning of history, to the Israelite sojourn in Egypt. The book falls naturally into 2 main sections. The latter section tells the stories of Abraham, chapters 12 through 25, of Isaac and his twin sons, Esau and Jacob, chapters 26 through 36, and of Jacob's family, the chief member of which was Joseph, chapters 37 through 50. Unlike the stories of primeval history, those of the patriarchs can be read against the background of the history of the Near East in the early part of the 2nd millennium, BC 2000 to 1500, as documented from extra-biblical sources. See Survey of Bible Lands. The primary purpose of the whole book, however, is to narrate God's dealings with men, and in particular to interpret Israel's special role in his historical plan. Thus, the call of Abraham, 12, verse 1 through 3, is the great turning point. God's creation has been marred by man's persistent wickedness, which not even the flood erased. Out of this valuable human material, however, God gradually separated one family line and eventually chose one man, Abraham, promising that he and his people would have a great historical destiny and would be instrumental in bringing divine blessing upon all the dispersed families of mankind. The book is composed of 3 main literary traditions: Judean, Ephraimite, and priestly. See Introduction to Pentateuch. And these, in turn, often preserve ancient oral tradition. Thus, the voices of many generations unite in the affirmation that the only true God is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whose redemptive purpose, like the rainbow of his promise, spans the course of human history from its remote beginning to its unrealized future.